Gonna start recording. Spinning there. Come on now. Got a meeting to start.
You're good on my end. It says recording on my end.
There we go. All right. I just started recording for mine. So I guess with that, hello everyone. Welcome to Severe Weather Club. This is week 6 of the spring 2021 semester. We didn't have a meeting last week, obviously, so I'll just go ahead and get started because there's quite a bit to talk about. First of all, regarding t-shirts, I took Anthony's advice and I contacted that graphic artist that's with the Office of Student Engagement. I sent them a picture of that t-shirt outside and in Tillman, and I basically told her to, we like this design, but we want it to be modernized, you know, kind of spruce it up a bit. She said, yeah, no, I'll see what I can do. That's currently happening right now. I was hoping she'd be done by this meeting, but they said between 7 and 14 business days. So we'll definitely have that by next club meeting next week. So stay on the lookout for that t-shirt design. Also announced last week, the Central Iowa chapter of the National Weather Association is having their annual Severe Storms and Radar Conference. This time it's going to be virtual though. Anthony, do you have a little bit to say about that?
Sure, I'll actually present it and I'll kind of go over some of the people that are talking. And so typically it's in Ankeny, Iowa. We were going to go last year, but it got canceled. It's going to get canceled again this year. But for a student, it's only $10 to register, which is really nice. I registered already. I'm good to go. And basically what you're going to do is, it's obviously just a bunch of talks. If it was in person, there'd be other things to do. But some of these people here are actually really going to be good to listen to. Dr. Jeff Trapp from U of I, he's really big into QLCS stuff. He's going to give his presentation on some stuff that he's been researching. James Spann is a very well-known TV meteorologist. He's been doing this since, probably over 40 years now. He's in Alabama, Birmingham, obviously. He's going to go over the super outbreak of 2011 down there, basically how he covered it then and what he would do differently now. Then we're going to have a guy go over, the fires that were in Colorado this past fall. And then Nick Stewart, he's a graduate from WIU, and so he'll be there giving a talk about the derecho. And then basically a bunch of these people are going to be about the derecho, basically because this is obviously an Iowa event. So they're going to bring in people to discuss about that. This Dr. Patrick Skinner, the CIMMS/NSSL, they do a lot of satellite stuff. It's the National Severe Storms Laboratory. I don't know the acronym for the CIMMS, but I know that they, I follow them on Twitter and they have an awesome amount of satellite imagery that they put out there. Then like we said, derecho. And then the very bottom one down here, this Roger Erickson, this actually might be one of the most interesting ones to listen to, discussing the Hurricane Laura's impact on not only their office, but the whole region. So this is a pretty good lineup, about the same as last year. Last year's might have been a little bit better. But to register, you just click on register now. And then it'll take you to, you want general registration, and then you would want single, and then you're a student, so you would click student, student registration 1, and then you would put in all your contact information if you haven't done this already. Some of you might have already signed up. You put your name, organization. I just put the school. And then fill out all this. Obviously, I put my name in the conference directory and email. There's another thing after this to get included into there's a spreadsheet. I don't really know what the spreadsheet does. I asked for permission, but it never really told me that I got in, so I don't really know what that was all about. But yeah, that's this. It's a very good conference from obviously people in the field that have seen things, and they're going to talk about their experiences, what they've learned, what they would do, a whole bunch of meteorology in here. This is a very, very good conference to be able to attend. Like I said, it's very, very cheap. It'll be all day though, so it'll be from early in the day. I don't really know. They don't have times yet. But it'll be, like I said, all day and all day event. So I'll probably have to. I have one class on Friday. I'll probably skip it to attend to this. And then don't also forget, if you're younger and you're watching this video on YouTube, they do have scholarships available that you could sign up for. Most of them are a fairly simple process. This one here, only thing you have to do is send in some transcripts. They complete 2 essays. I don't know this one here. Broadcast and operational. Okay, so this one we could apply for. I think the Tim Samaras is a research meteorology one, but if you're doing research, then you could definitely do it. We can go back and look though. Yeah, so if you're doing any research, you know, you have to be a sophomore or junior at the time of this. $1,500, GPA of 3 or better. I think we had somebody win this before. I think Nick might have actually have won either the Tim Samaras or the Pam Dale scholarship. The Pam Dale is also $1,500, sophomore or junior status as well. So yeah, this is a really, really good conference to kind of get your feet wet into the conference world if you haven't been yet. I haven't been to this conference, but I was really excited last year, and then it got canceled. But this year looks to be almost even better. And so, yeah, I'm really excited. And if you guys need any help signing up or anything, just let me know.
Yeah, thanks for that, Tony. Yeah, no, something to keep in mind is that the lineup of speakers they have, they have a pretty broad range of meteorological disciplines. Yeah, they got research, they got operational meteorologists, they got some people from the NWS. They also have emergency managers going in there. So any type of direction that you want to go with your meteorology degree, you definitely want to attend this conference anyway, because there'll definitely be some talks that you'll want to be listening in on. But yeah, no, cheap registration, $10. I would definitely recommend going. Let's see. Next, I wanted to talk just briefly about Weather Challenge. Let me see if I can share my screen here. Alrighty, so we've gone to a new city. We're now forecasting for Des Moines, Iowa. It's actually the same city that we forecasted for last year. It was our first forecast city that semester. So yeah, it's a Midwestern city. Should be decently familiar with you, at least in terms of forecasting. Let's see, not results. I wanted to see our how we're doing as a team, our team results. We can do that here. Takes a second to load for some reason. I think it's just pulling a lot of data. So yeah, if you scroll down here, Western Illinois University, we're currently in 22nd place, currently outside of the playoffs. So we probably need to be doing a little bit better as a school if we did want to get up in the playoffs, but there's still plenty of time to do it. I think we still have 3 cities left. So as long as we do pretty well above average on the rest of these cities, it's certainly feasible for us to get back into the playoffs. Biggest thing, as always, is just to keep getting your forecasts in on time, all that good stuff. Next, I wanted to share, you might have gotten an email from Dr. Finch or today, actually. Let's see, where is it here? Oh, these are just the same emails. Let me go to the one Dr. Finch sent us. So yeah, National Weather Service Office out of Davenport, they're hosting a bunch of virtual storm spotter training classes this year. Let's see, where's the link here? I wanted to see exactly the times that they're doing here. They've got a number of classes open between March and early April. They're almost all on Tuesdays and Thursdays in the evening, so you'll want to keep that in mind. However, they do have one Saturday class. I believe it's the 25th. Or no, I think it's the 27th. I'm not sure, but they have one Saturday class in the morning. So if you wanted to go to that on Saturday, you could do that. But yeah, obviously, if you want to be a storm spotter, you'll want to go to one of these Skywarn classes. Additionally, Dr. Finch is offering extra credits for those of you who complete one of these courses and then emails her the certificate. So if you're in one of her classes, you'll definitely want to be doing this. But yeah, this is obviously a great way to just keep yourself up to date on storm spotting procedures, what to look out for, how to warn the National Weather Service if you see any severe weather, and of course, obviously, what to look out for just as a citizen of, severe weather country. But yeah, that's if you want to go do that, make sure you check out Dr. Finch's email. Additionally, there's something else that I was looking at. I was going through the Severe Weather Club email, and let's see. Oh, I had the wrong email open again. So if we go here, I'm going to forward this email to everyone, but basically, if you don't know, the Severe Weather Club is actually a chapter of the American Meteorological Society. And so a new board has basically been formed for the AMS. It's called the Board of Operational Government Meteorologists, and it's run by a number of operational meteorologists around the country, but it also has some student members. And so this email was just kind of letting all the chapters know that this new board has been formed and that they want to do some outreach later. And that's pretty interesting by itself. But what I wanted to show you guys specifically was this thing on their websites. If we look at here, this is basically a 27-page document full of job application tips for operational government meteorologists across the country and all forms of government, including the National Weather Service, local jobs, state jobs, emergency management jobs. It's literally just a document full of a bunch of meteorologists and their tips on how to apply to jobs and like what to expect in the job application process. So if you're interested at all in doing operational meteorology, I would definitely recommend giving this PDF a good read through. I've only read through the first couple of pages, but like the tips that they've given me already is like it's pretty good. So I'm going to forward that email to all of you as well, probably later this week. So stay on the lookout for that as well. Is there anything else that I wanted to cover? I don't think so. If we look at the weather for today, or for the upcoming days, it's going to be in contrast to obviously last week and the week before. It's actually going to be pretty warm. There's a number of reasons for that. For one, warm front came through earlier. It was going to be a bit warmer, but of course we had this cold front come through early this morning, and then another secondary cold front come through later. But it was still upper 40 or mid 40s was our high today. And we can expect, or high yesterday, we can expect similar warm temperatures throughout the week and into the weekend. So that's very nice and very stark contrast to the cold we've been having, which of course I'll talk about later as well. If we look forward, there's nothing too much to talk about, although there is a little bit. Let's see, if we zoom in here, we might be expecting a little bit of rain coming to our region on Friday night and into Saturday. We can get a forecast loop going here. So yeah, as we look ahead into Friday and then into Saturday, you'll see that we might get a little bit of rain, a little bit of patchy rain associated with the disturbance going through. If we look at QPF here, it's probably not going to be too much rain. I know the GFS has us getting around 1/10 of an inch throughout Friday and Saturday. We look through here. Most of the rain is going to be north of us into the northern part of the Davenport forecasting area. We might get about 1/10 of an inch of rain as a result of that rain events. I will say the models differ a little bit here. I know, for instance, the NAM doesn't think that the region north of us is going to have nearly as much rain. If we go forward here, well, it does a little bit. Actually, it has us having a little bit more rain than the GFS says. Regardless, though, the National Weather Service generally thinks that there will be a bit of rain to our north, and we might get a little bit of it as well. Additionally, if we look forward to next week, there will probably be a little bit more rain as well, and there might be some snow for us as well, depending on where that rain snow line is, although that's pretty uncertain. So there's no really use in talking about that as of yet. Does anyone have any questions with the things that we've talked about so far?
I was going to say that with that thing that you shared about Bogum, if you want the link to that, they actually had a meeting. It wasn't a meeting, it was a panel that discussed everything that I think's in that booklet. It's on YouTube. I have the link if anybody wants it.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead and send us that link too. That'd be awesome. Yeah, no, I know that's in the future that board is going to be hosting like webinars and stuff for students to kind of prepare them for operational meteorology and that kind of thing. So if you want to be on the lookout for that, be sure to get in contact with them. I know they have a contact form as well attached to that email.
I was gonna say there is pathways opportunities opened up for the weather service.
Oh, okay.
They opened up last week sometime. But they're available until the 1st. They're actually somewhat local. There's one in St. Louis. There's one in Springfield, Missouri. There's one in Kansas City. There's one in Indiana. There's one in Wisconsin. One in Louisville. Rapid City, South Dakota. One in Kansas. One in Nebraska. One in Wisconsin. I don't know, but I'll show you the posting real fast. So that way everyone knows where it's at. Oh, where you at? That's not the one. This is the one I want. Okay, let's see. So here's the posting right here. This student intern meteorology pathways. Like I said, it closes on the 1st. And then if you get the internship, you will be working full time down there over the summer. So you'll have to move to wherever you get it. So if you get it in Springfield, Missouri, you're moving to Springfield, Missouri. You get it in St. Charles, which is the St. Louis office. You'll be moving to St. Charles, for sure. And then here's all the locations that are offering 10 locations. You get to apply to at least 5. So your top 5 apply to. I was going to say something else, but I forgot what I was going to say. So yeah, these are the locations. It's a fairly easy process to apply. I'm in the process of applying within the next day or two. As long as you are a current student enrolled from high school to graduate level, you'll be good to go. I was gonna say something, then I forgot. But yeah, you get paid a decent amount. Oh, what I was gonna say is, yeah, you work throughout the school year too. So you'll be working remotely. And you might have to drive in sometime to actually do it too. I'm not sure how that process works, but this isn't the only job opportunity. This is the one you want though with Pathways, but they do offer a summer intern as well with various other locations, but this one closes on Friday. This is a lot more locations, but they're a lot farther away. Closest one is Kansas City. And then you can go all the way to Alaska. You can go to the American Samoa, Guam. Like I said, there are ways away, some of these. Puerto Rico. The only one close here is Kansas City, and that's not even technically a weather forecast office. That'll be for the the NWS Central region. So yeah, these are out there. Don't be afraid to apply if you want. Like I said, I'm in the middle of getting my stuff all settled in. I'm just gotta fix up my cover letter, and then I'll be on my way to sending in my applications. So if anybody needs any help or anything, just let me know.
And to be clear, you apply for these on usajobs.gov, right?
Yes. Yep.
Right.
Do you know if these are like kind of reoccurring positions every year, or if it's just like this is what it is for now?
It's pretty much a recurring position. Let me go back to presenting this here. They literally train you pretty much for the job. As long as you meet that meteorology degree, you'll get the job. If you don't have a meteorology degree, I don't think it really, if you're not going for a meteorology degree, they don't care, I don't think. But if you do have that meteorology degree, there is the possibility of you transitioning to a position within the program. But yeah, so let me see here. I think it says down here somewhere. Where's it at? Where's it at? That's documents. Somewhere in here it does say that you get to stay on. Once you're in, you're in. I don't remember where it's at.
And like for the rest of your like college time or whatnot?
Yeah, so you'll at least be in for a year. A minimum 1 year trial is required. So I mean, if you do well enough, I think they keep you on. But I'm not sure how that works. Typically, once you get on, you're on. I mean, it's not like they're gonna kick you out or anything. But yeah, so basically, you just you can apply. Yeah, like it doesn't really matter as long as you're 16 years or older. Typically, if you're a junior or a senior, typically it's not you can still apply, but from what I've understood and the people I've talked to, um, they really want to keep you there for more than 1 year. So unless you're like going into grad school or planning on going to grad school, then it's kind of, how do I put this? It's less likely that you can get. I'm not saying you can't. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. You're not going to get it. But they really want someone that's going to be there for a while, so that way they can literally train them to pretty much get them into a position to where they can stay on with them. You have to complete a minimum of 640 hours within the program, and then you have to complete a course of academic study. And then if you meet the qualification standards, then you can be converted into an actual employee, as long as you receive the recommendation by said office that you served in. Like I said, how you're going to be evaluated, your resume, your supporting documents, your responses to the online questionnaire. And there will be an interview once you get in. Like I've talked to a few people about it. And then make sure you have everything on this resume. Then you have to have a proof of enrollment, which can be some sort of, for us, I think it's like you can do the ward report, or you can email them and ask them for a proof of enrollment, which is what I had to do for grad school. I actually bought my transcripts, so I have them ready to go. But yeah, so it's open. Anybody can apply. Go to USA Jobs. You'll have to create an account at USA Jobs. And then pretty much, yeah, as long as you meet this criteria on this left side here, current student, and anything else on the right that's under this clarification from the agency, you can apply. It pays really well. Depending on your location, some locations will pay more than others based off of cost of living in said area. But yeah, so this is a really good thing. And if you get in, chances of you staying with the Weather Service are good as long as you have that meteorology degree. And yeah, so.
Cool, thanks for that.
Yep.
Does someone else have any other questions before I get into my presentation?
I just want to ask Anthony, how would we? Is there like information somewhere for like us to like contact you about that?
I can type in my email. I'll just put my email in the chat.
Thanks.
Yep.
Yeah, so obviously Pathways is a great opportunity for you to get experience in the National Weather Service. Obviously, it's a super competitive position, but if you do get it, it's not very competitive in your career aspirations after. So I would definitely recommend applying for it if you're sophomore or junior and you are interested in working at the National Weather Service. But if there are no other questions or concerns, then I'll go ahead and share my screen again here, and we'll talk a little bit about the cold that we've been having. Let's see here. So as always, if you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to interrupt me because I can't see you guys on my screen right now. But yeah, this presentation is about obviously the winter weather that we've been having so far in this month. Of course, we could talk about the entire, winter 2021 season. I didn't want to cover the entire season so far in this presentation. So I'm going to be focusing mainly on the extreme cold that we've been having. But yeah, no, this is basically a number of winter weather events that have been impacting the North American continent and particularly the central US. The most notable thing that's been happening has been this extreme cold outbreak, obviously. That's basically just been an outbreak of really cold air that's lasted between February 10th and 20th of this month. That sent sub-freezing air as far south as northern Mexico. Additionally, at the end of this presentation, I'll talk a bit about Winter Storm Uri that brought snow to Texas and other southern states, and also spawned a couple tornadoes in the southeastern U.S. Yeah, this outbreak has been pretty devastating. At least 70 deaths associated with this outbreak have happened so far, and as we'll see, that death toll will probably rise just due to the nature of the weather that's been going on and the hazards associated with it. But first of all, I kind of wanted to clarify, like, what is actually going on? Why did it get so cold? You'll probably be hearing a lot, or you've probably been hearing a lot about the polar vortex, and so you might be confused with exactly what that is. Basically, that is a large rotating mass of very cold stratospheric air. To be clear, the polar vortex itself is in the upper atmosphere. It's actually in the stratosphere. So when we talk about the polar vortex reaching the central United States, it's not like exactly what it is, but the location of very cold surface Arctic air usually coincides with that polar vortex, so that's why people would say that. Basically, the existence of the jet stream serves to kind of corral that polar vortex and make sure that, or it basically acts as a boundary between the colder Arctic air and the warmer mid-latitude air to the south of it. And actually, it's kind of a chicken and egg thing because, of course, the jet stream is a product of that temperature gradient, but, you know, regardless. But basically, what happens is whenever the jet stream weakens, it can start to become wavy. And those sort of waves can kind of, extend southward and spill that cold air into regions much further south than there usually are. This graphic kind of illustrates that. You can see this is kind of like the normal setup of the polar vortex and the jet stream. And if it ever becomes wavy like this, then you can see that regions of cold air can spill pretty far southward. You'll also see that this manifests as a chronic high pressure at the surface. So we'll see that as well. I wanted to get an image of what the jet stream is actually looking like right now in February, or I guess earlier in February. I couldn't get a very good picture. This is the best one that I could find. This is from the Weather Channel. So you can kind of see at least half of what's going on. The jet stream, as you can see, is very wavy here, and we can see this anomalous high pressure just off the coast of Greenland. So what that's doing is that's forcing very warm air very far to the north. And as a result, you will see that the jet stream is very far south here, and so a lot of cold air is able to move down south. That is in combination with another ridge that was over on the west coast, and so as you can probably imagine, that resulting pattern just plunges all of that cold air down south. And so we can see that on this kind of map. This is a map of temperature anomaly on February 15th. And as you can see, especially in the southern central United States, way, way, way colder than normal. In fact, on one day, I think it was February 15th, the Midwest of the US was the coldest place on Earth. So yeah, just kind of insane how cold it gets here. If we look at the surface here, we can kind of see that high pressure we were talking about. This analysis is on the 6th. We have a couple systems up here that actually brought us a bit of snow in the days prior to this. But you can see up here, there's this very high Arctic Canadian high pressure system. And what you'll see is that this pressure system will just migrate south and then just stay in the region for days and days and days. So I'm advancing in 24-hour increments here, and you can just see this high pressure system. It just goes down south and then it just stays there. And it continues to stay there. And it stays there again. It just keeps staying there. And obviously, as we know, high pressure is associated with clear skies and very light winds. That, of course, means not a lot of mixing and very high temperature extremes. And so, obviously, with the cold air already in place, the high pressure makes it so that that cold air is even more extreme, sending it into life-threatening temperatures. As you can see, finally, around February 20th, this high pressure system finally started to move to the east, allowing some warm air advection from the south and finally warming the region back up. But yeah, no, for a good 10 to 14 days, that high pressure system was just chilling on top of the central U.S. And so we can kind of interpret this as a tale of two winter outbreaks. On the one hand, we can look at the upper Midwest and we can see the effects of it on this region. Obviously, life-threatening cold temperatures were seen for much of Valentine's weekend and into that week. For us, February 14th was our coldest day. I think in Macomb, we had a high of 0 degrees with wind chills of -20 and below. It's very cold, obviously. And obviously, nighttime lows were even colder. So obviously, very hazardous conditions. In addition to all that cold, we also received a lot of snow. I know Chicago and the Rockford area received as much as 14 to 17 inches of snow over the course of that whole week. So yeah, quite a lot of snow as well. But the thing you'll notice about our winter outbreak in this region is that there really wasn't that many horrible effects of the weather. On the right, you can see a map here that the GIS Center helped make back in 2018 during that or maybe it was 2019, that 2019 polar vortex event that came through. We made this map as well as a corresponding web map of warming centers in Illinois. And so kind of the trend that you'll see up north in this region is that we're very prepared for this kind of weather. We have access to one click away from any location where you can find a place to warm up. Our transportation infrastructure is very prepared for winter weather up here, and so we have salted roads and salted sidewalks. And so ultimately, you're not going to see a lot of deaths or like anything associated with the winter weather up here. However, we shift our attention south and specifically to the state of Texas, you'll see that pretty much the exact opposite has happened. For one, for the first time in history, every Texas county was under a winter storm warning as a result of this cold weather outbreak. Obviously, frigid cold temperatures below 0 in some places were recorded in Texas. Many places saw the lowest temperatures ever recorded. I know Houston, I think their lowest temperature of this outbreak was 30 degrees colder than any temperature they had ever recorded before, which I think is insane to me. But yeah, very cold, obviously. This winter weather outbreak was associated with widespread blackouts that left 4 million homes, or over 4 million homes, without power, which obviously resulted in lots of people experiencing very cold conditions. Additionally, on top of the cold, some places in Texas received over 10 inches of snow with lots of accumulation. This obviously corresponds to poor road conditions. The difference between, say, northern Illinois versus Texas is that Texas doesn't prepare for super duper winter events. They don't prepare for ice on the roads and snow on the ground, and so they don't really have plowing routes and plowing infrastructure, and they don't really salt their roads. They don't prepare to salt their roads, and so there was actually a very deadly pileup crash on Interstate 35. Hundreds of cars were affected by it, and I think 5 were dead. I'm not going to show pictures of that. It's pretty gruesome. But yeah, that's the kind of thing that you can expect with winter weather down south. So far, there have been dozens and dozens of confirmed deaths as a direct result of the cold weather. And additionally, we're probably going to be able to expect more deaths just because, with the nature of power outages and stuff, people aren't just going to die from cold, but also from contaminated water because the water treatment plants don't have power. And so that's the kind of thing, the sort of knockdown effects of these power outages that you can expect to find many more deaths associated with them. Something that I wanted to clear up, something that's been going around. Some people, including public officials down south, have been quick to blame the blackouts on green energy. They'll tell you that green energy and specifically wind turbine infrastructure is not built to handle winter weather. And so that's when those went down, that's when the power went down. You might have also seen this picture, a frozen wind turbine and a helicopter, de-icing it. Here's the thing, though. That picture is from Sweden back in 2015 during a very cold outbreak there. The simple matter is that the assertion that green energy is to blame for the blackouts is not true at all. I believe Texas gets less than 10% of its energy from renewable resources. There are slight different numbers about how much of that energy is actually coming from wind. But safe to say that the lion's share of energy production in Texas comes from fossil fuels, natural gas, and nuclear. There are 2 true reasons as to why the blackouts have been affecting Texas so much. And the first big reason is that Texas Texas energy infrastructure is simply not built for cold weather like this. Not only wind turbines, but also the coal turbines, the turbines that actually spin, they completely froze. Gas pipelines completely froze over and then burst. A number of other, energy shortages associated with all this freezing weather. Texas's power grid, or energy infrastructure, it just isn't capable of withstanding winter weather. The other thing that you've probably been seeing a lot in the news, and this has been getting highly political, I don't want to get political with this presentation, obviously, but is the energy grid. The United States has three energy grids. We have the Eastern Interconnect, which we are a part of, the Western Interconnect, which obviously the western part of the United States is connected with, and then Texas has its own interconnected energy grid that is disconnected from the rest of the US. And so what we see is that when all of this cold weather comes down to Texas and people start turning on their heaters, 4 million homes all at once turning on their heaters and, demanding more energy, all that demand combined with the fact that the energy infrastructure was completely collapsing due to the cold weather, there were just no way that the power grid was going to be able to sustain itself. Now, the thing with power grids is usually whenever there's a shortage in one region, the rest of the grid is able to keep up the slack and able to keep the power on in those places. That's why, for example, if there's ever any energy, problems associated with, Illinois, for example, the other states will be able to pool power into Illinois and keep the lights on. But if you see in Texas, they aren't connected to the rest of the grid, and so when the power fails there's no backup source there. This is the same sort of issue that actually happened in Japan back when the Fukushima reactor exploded. The northern energy grid of Japan was completely wiped out as a result of this energy failure. And since the southern energy grid of Japan was not capable with the north saw power outages for weeks and weeks and weeks. And so that's why the death toll associated with the Fukushima disaster was so high. And so it's a similar story with Texas here. Here is a satellite image of the Houston area. This image was taken on February 7th before the severe cold outbreak. And then so this image was taken about a week later, and you can see just the massive widespread power outages and blackouts that are associated with it. Switch between these images a few times. As you can see, it's just dozens and hundreds of homes, hundreds of thousands of homes that are without power in this area. Here's some pictures associated with this weather. This picture was taken in someone's apartment complex. Here's an example of burst pipes and then a burst fire hydrant where the water spewed out and then froze. If you want more examples of burst pipes, here's a parking garage where a pipe burst over someone's car, the water spilled out and then froze on his car. I don't know if this car will ever be usable again. And you can see on this image down here, you can see the conditions of the interstates. I think this is just outside of Dallas. I don't want to be insensitive here, but something like that would never happen in a place like Illinois. We would always make sure that these roads are plowed and that they're salted. And so it's no wonder that conditions were so terrible and why there were so many accidents and stuff associated with this weather. Additionally, I also wanted to talk briefly about Winter Storm Uri. On February 15th, a mid-latitude cyclone developed in the Gulf Coast, or off the Gulf Coast of Florida. It was given the nickname Uri by the Weather Channel. I'm not sure how they decide to name winter storms, but yeah, it's been unofficially adopted as the name. This is actually the same system that gave Texas a lot of its snow, but this specific mid-latitude cyclone is associated with a bit of severe weather in the southeastern U.S. Associated with the cold front of the system, there were a couple of tornadic storms, including an EF2 in Baker County, Georgia, and an EF3 tornado in Brunswick, North Carolina. Here's the SBC storm reports for that. Excuse me. Yeah, not too much severe weather, but again, mostly concentrated in the southeastern U.S. Here's a surface analysis here, and so you can see this little low pressure system here is going to strengthen, and it'll move northeast, and this cold front here is associated with those tornadic storms. Here are a couple images of that Brunswick County, North Carolina F3. 3 people, I believe, were killed as a result of this tornado, in addition to dozens of others injured. These 2 pictures are a good way of kind of conceptualizing the damage of an F3. This picture down here, you can see a very well-built home had pretty substantial structural damage to the house. And this picture right here is of a mobile home, as you can see, completely destroyed as a result of this tornado. That's why you were told, if you're in a mobile home and there's a tornado coming, to leave. This is a picture of the tornado as it formed. It actually formed as an EF0, but then it strengthened to an EF3 by the time it hits a couple of rural neighborhoods in Brunswick County, North Carolina. It's pretty much all I have. Excuse me, my voice. But yeah, this winter outbreak, I have a feeling, is probably going to be remembered for a long time, just due to the consequences of the power outages in Texas. You know, that's going to be very, very heavily talked about in the coming weeks as we look ahead into energy infrastructure. I know meteorologists and emergency managers in particular are particularly interested in that kind of thing. You know, how do we prepare regions for unlikely winter or unlikely weather events like this? So you definitely want to keep your eye on the news for that, about what kind of things come from this winter weather event. Does anyone have any questions? Take that silence as a no. That's all I have prepared for you guys. I do have a question though. I know it's exam season right now. I've had 2 exams this week, and I know I have 2 more coming up in the next couple of weeks. And so I was wondering, would anyone here be interested in a study session next week? Or I guess a better question to ask would be sure to say something if you'd be interested in that.
I know I would be. This week alone, I have 2 exams and 2 quizzes. I just got done with one today, so I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of midterms going on right now. So if people would be interested in that, I would be willing to make next week's meeting at least partly about a study session. Personally, I'm good with meteorology courses and GIS courses, and I can probably help with math too if anyone has any questions with that. But yeah, we'll see about that. Otherwise, we'll just keep student presentations rolling. If there's anything else that anyone has to say, you can go ahead and say it. But otherwise, that's all I've got for you. And I can see you guys next week.
Did you guys already talk about the shirts?
About what?
About the shirts?
Oh, yeah. We emailed, I emailed the Office of Student Engagement's graphic artists, and they're currently working on a design that should be ready by next week's meeting.
Okay, right on.
Yep. Well, I guess we can end the meeting there. Have a great week, guys, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.